blood, brain power!
Peekaboo, my friends. You killed Yorick! Scared them, Messenger of the God.
They'd be less scary if they weren't so scary. Checking!
I had hoped it might brutish. Sufficient for this task, I believe.
Take that! No, not us. You're gonna lose this. If it's here, I'll find it. I'm not doing so well here.
Hello everyone, Sinow here, your new home for everything Resident Evil Resistance, and today I am bringing you a build that after the latest update is kind of breaking the game, in my opinion, as the little montage at the beginning of this video can attest to. This is the Molotov Valerie build. So for those of you who have been keeping up with the kind of meta and discussion around this game after the latest update, you probably already know about this. It is an extremely overpowered survivor build at the moment, and I'm really not happy about it being in the game. It makes creature builds an absolute joke. It's really, really useful also against cameras, although slightly less powerful, I would say, in that situation. Still, if you are up against a Mastermind that has no durability equipped for a camera and you hit it directly with a Molotov, you can usually take it out in one shot, if not, like, nearly take it out in one shot. So it's also good against cameras, it's good against traps because it blows them all up really easily, so you get lots of time. It stuns BOWs, so it's good against them too. It really is just an extremely powerful build for pretty much every situation in this game, and I'm not very happy about its existence. I think this needs to be nerfed sooner rather than later, a bit like how Nikolai was nerfed very quickly after his introduction to the game. But if I'm being honest with you folks, a lot of the time when I make build guides for something, it gets nerfed really quickly anyway, so like, fingers crossed as a result of showing you all this Molotov Valerie build that this too will be nerfed pretty fast. So that's kind of my thinking going into this video, but for the purposes of discussion, let me show you how you make it. First of all, we're using Remedy for modified first aid spray. That's the one that you put down on the ground. We're using Creature's passive for Survival Instinct. It's important to remember that using a yellow herb and marking creatures before you hit them with a Molotov, it does increase the effectiveness of it quite a lot. So don't forget to do this if you think you will need it against like a big cluster of creatures, or for instance against Yataveo. It can be a good idea to use a yellow herb and mark Yataveo before you start pelting it with Molotovs. You're more likely to like save a Molotov or two worths of damage by doing this. Don't forget as well that Molotovs also apply a damage over time, so even if you don't kill something immediately, sometimes you just gotta wait a second or two and it'll die. We're also using debuffs so that you can cancel out headshots. This is good for when you're not using the Molotovs, if you want to conserve them for a little bit. And finally, in order to make this build work, you need counterattack. This removes the purchase limit of Molotovs in the store. So you absolutely need to use counterattack in order to use this. As for the build itself, so in the footage coming up, I'm actually using slightly different equip here. I'm using Wallet 3 instead of Decoder 2, which gives you more umbrella credits at the beginning. But here I'm just using, and this is the build that I now run with, I'm using Decoder 3, Decoder 2, H2 canister 3, and H2 canister 2. So the decoders make things in the store cheaper. With Decoder 3 and 2, Molotovs now only cost 60 umbrella credits rather than 80. And with H2 canister 3 and 2, the damage that you can do with Molotovs is greatly increased. You're sometimes getting numbers like upwards of 4,000 on crits against creatures, which will take most things out like pretty quickly, and if not instantly, then the damage over time, like I said earlier, will usually finish the job for you. And that's it. This is the new equip that they've added in the latest update, and I'm really disappointed, to be honest with you, because I already had an issue with the fact that Valerie occupies two very strong niches. Having a character that is like the group's healer with a debuff ability that also was the demolitions expert, I felt like Valerie was already kind of overly stacked to begin with, and that's one of the reasons why she's like the most played survivor with a really high win rate, or comparatively high win rate compared to other survivors. And I feel like this has just kind of compounded the issue, unfortunately. You can buy flashbangs. Some people say you should buy flashbangs against Daniel, but honestly I just find that Molotov cocktails do the trick anyway. Just keep buying Molotovs. And if you really need a green herb, for instance, you could maybe buy 1 or 2 of those, or against biocores you maybe want to try and use your ammo instead in your gun and save the Molotovs for like other situations. But because you're running 2 decoders, that's also very cheap, and you're not using ammo to kill creatures a lot of the time too, so it's also quite economical, because every time you get rid of loads of creatures with a Molotov, you're not spending your ammo to kill them instead. So if you scavenge enough with this build, then you'll usually have like a stockpile of ammo as well to use later on. But yeah, I'm like kind of disappointed because I just feel like it really adds on to the issue of the fact that Valerie is also the demolitions expert, and this makes it really high on the demolishing power. I'm gonna show you a game just now. It's probably the best game that I've been trying to record this like all day, and this is like the most active game I had that wasn't a complete stomp. Neobards, please nerf, but regardless, I hope you guys enjoy the footage. Here we go. Okay, so here is the pre-recorded footage that I recorded with my friend Gary, who is Hot Cross here, rank 40. Thanks very much, by the way, Gary, for helping me record this. He let me play as Valerie, even though he loves Valerie himself. He particularly loves Valerie when she wears this outfit, which I'm like, yeah, same. But yeah, he helped me record all this. And remember that in this footage, I'm using Wallet 3 instead of Decoder 2. So for the build now I use 2 decoders, but at this point I was only using 1 decoder and then a wallet. But it's the same. It's like pretty much the same. You can see how the build works just fine. So I usually prefer to actually get a quick draw when I use this build because it's a bit cheaper, and then you have more Molotov buying power at the beginning in Area 1. Stupid zombie! It takes so long to get through this door.
I'm out.
Myself and Gary were just like, what the fuck? The zombie feels very slow right now. Also, it's really sunny outside. For some reason, the massive Molotov cocktail in the sky has decided to light up today, so apologies if the lighting is weird in this video of my face. It's just my camera's like freaking out because there's so much light going into it, probably. My teammates are already finding key items quite fast. And I tried to scan there to see if there was a key item like downstairs, but I couldn't find it, so it's probably here. That clown is completely exposed, so we take care of it really easily. So as soon as I hear that a zombie's being controlled, I get the Molotov out. And usually in general, obviously you want to use the Molotovs against like big clusters of creatures, but also if a Mastermind controls a creature, it takes 50% less damage, just by virtue of the fact that it's being controlled. So that's usually a good idea for a Molotov cocktail if it's like a kind of buffed, tough zombie. Because you still kill them ridiculously fast, even if they're taking slightly less damage, because this build is busted! It's way too powerful.
There's gotta be something useful here.
One thing that can help you with this build quite a lot, obviously you need the money to buy the Molotovs, and the less you have to spend on green herbs and ammo, the more Molotovs you can buy. So make sure your scavenging is up to par. Keep running around, picking up those umbrella credits, green herbs, ammo. You're good to go, baby. So yeah, usually with Decoder 3 and 2, it will cost 60 per Molotov. Here it's costing me 68. And I got 120 credits at the beginning because of Wallet 3. So over time, running 2 decoders will be more economical, but it just takes a while to get to that point. So big cluster of zombies here, and Yorick, boom, 68 seconds, boom, 20 seconds, Slicker's still alive a little bit, boom, 15 seconds, done. And that was the vast majority of a net strategy for Area 2, killed within mere seconds.
Hacking.
Fun. Now, to be fair, one thing that Masterminds should bear in mind is like social distancing between creatures.
Door's always in the way.
It's not just a catchy buzzword for the pandemic that we're currently still living through. It does help a lot as a Mastermind to try and space out zombies to prevent the efficacy of explosives. I realize I missed some credits here, so I went back for them because that's the kind of Valerie I am. But yes, do bear in mind that social distancing is a good idea for creatures a lot of the time. There's a reason why you get 3 bullets per enhancer. It's so that you don't have to necessarily put all your zombies in one big cluster. And this is a mistake that I still do sometimes myself. The game rewards you more for spacing out zombies a lot of the time. Easier said than done, because obviously a lot of the game takes place in like restricted quarters, but still.
This research and its byproducts are too dangerous for this world.
So I can see that this room's maybe a pain in the ass.
Ammo when you need it.
So I try throwing a Molotov, and I think it misses like most things apart from like one zombie on the floor. Not that that's a big issue really, but there you go.
William, help me around.
Here's William. Of course, another thing I mentioned earlier is that Molotovs also stun BOWs, and it outright kills Yataveo.
My hearing is acute. I can't.
It's ridiculous how much you can just kill Yataveo with this. Completely negates all of the buffs that they gave it. Ugh. But there you go. I use it to stun him. And then here, I know that Jill has the key card, and there isn't a lot I can do because we need that one last terminal, so I just decided to go scavenge for a bit. I got a hand grenade, which is quite nice. And then I'm just deciding to wait here for a while. Being sneaky. This Mastermind is cleverly aware of the fact that without Jill being able to leave the safe room, we can't really do very much. So they're just trying to like wait out the clock here. I think I've played against this guy before and he's a decent Mastermind, so I honestly feel a lot of sympathy to any Mastermind that has to go up against this stupid build.
Why would I leave that unlocked?
I actually got beat. There you go. Look at, I managed to do a lot of damage to that camera. It didn't take it out in one shot. I find that quite a lot with this build you do take out a camera in one shot, so maybe they had a little bit more durability, or like I didn't quite hit the camera in the dick, which is apparently what I decided to do when I shot that zombie on the floor there. Do excuse me, zombie. I think if you hit a camera full on and they don't have any durability equipment, it should take out in one blow. Who knows? But yeah, I was on stream playing as Daniel and I lost to a Valerie that was running like a really heavy grenade build. She was using a lot of flash grenades though rather than just Molotovs. And I was like flummoxed. I was like stunned. I couldn't do anything for like the entire match. Every single time I controlled a zombie, she just stunned it. And then they just cleaned up. And I felt really bad at the time. I was like, usually when I lose as Mastermind, I'll think to myself like, oh, I misplayed my BOW in Area 2. Oh, I put too many zombies all in one big cluster here and it gave them time. Oh, I spawned that creature underneath the survivors and they just killed it. But for that game, I was just like, I don't know how I could have done that better and won. But now that I've seen and experienced for myself truly how overpowered this build is, I no longer feel bad for losing against it because I'm just like, what can I say? Like, they need to nerf it. I am of the opinion that unless it's something that's clearly like an exploit that like makes people disconnect from the game or like lag switching. By the way, boom, there goes the liquor. Boom, there goes zombies, 15 seconds, boom, there goes the clown, 5,800 damage. Easy. I'm of the opinion that unless it's something that's like maliciously causes people to disconnect or lag switching or whatever, you can't really blame people for using certain strategies that are like in the game's design. So I think core sniping is an issue, particularly in downtown Area 3 and on research facility Area 3. However, I can't really blame survivors for doing it, I don't think survivors need to adopt this weird mentality of like running into melee range of cores because they feel like it's fair. I think Neobards needs to fix that. And I feel similarly about this build. Like, it's just clearly very strong, and I think Neobards should nerf it. I decided to try and help out this person down here by like rolling the grenade down. And it doesn't work because I hit the railing. So I try again. At this point, me and my friend were kind of goofing off because we knew that we had this game in the bag. So I'm being really sloppy with Molotovs here just for a laugh. It's not a big problem. It's kind of silly. Usually I would conserve the Molotovs a little bit better than that. But yeah, it's one of those things where like, I just don't think you can sit there and every time a survivor uses a strategy you don't like, be like, oh, this person's a bad person. It's like, the game needs to be changed as a result, you know? So like I mentioned before, Molotovs are not as efficient against cores. You'll stun your allies if you keep throwing Molotovs at a core that has other allies near it. So I would say use your guns and your ammo on the cores as much as possible. If you're particularly flush with cash, you might want to try and get like an LM5 and then mark a core and use the LM5 and you will like burn it through it very quickly. Save your Molotovs for all the other situations. You can use Molotovs on a core if you absolutely have to, of course. They do like about 1,600 damage or something. But overall I find there's a more efficient way of using them. That goes for Masterminds too, by the way. Like, when Nikolai came out, I think Nikolai was a little bit too strong, okay? He was kind of busted when he first came out. But then it's like, what are you gonna do? Say that every Mastermind who runs Nikolai with guns is like a bad person? That you're gonna make like a weird moral judgment? It's like, I don't really think that flies, to be honest with you. Deliberately trying to make people disconnect or lag switching? Yes. Cheating? Yes. Like modifying it so you have 1,000,000 credits? Yeah, obviously that's bad, but they just gotta fix some stuff, honestly. So, Liquor with Concentrated Enhancer, even though I didn't kill it with the initial explosion, it also puts them on fire, which causes a really long stun animation, and they take the dot damage, so Liquors are toast with this build. Absolutely useless. Big cluster of enemies there. That's dead. Hopeless. Hopeless. And this is against the Nanette. Just think of how much more squishy creatures are going to be for the other Masterminds.
All I know is that you guys are my friends.
I would say the biggest counter to this build is probably kind of guns and camera focused Masterminds more. I would say like Spencer and Nikolai, but mostly Spencer is probably the biggest counter that you could have against Molotov Valerie. I know that Spencer has a very annoying like cooling fan thermal grease type build at the moment that's gotten even stronger after this update. And that's probably the biggest counter that you could have to Molotov Valerie. Regardless, I have now shown you the build in action. It was a pretty easy game for me. But believe me, if you thought that footage was kind of like, most of the games that I recorded were like even worse than that. I had like a couple of Masterminds just give up because they couldn't do anything. So that was probably the most exciting quote-unquote game that I could show you all of Molotov Valerie in action. But yes, for the purposes of discussion, I've shown you all. I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Sinow. Take care. Good luck out there, Masterminds, and goodbye.